Hey, how's it going, y'all? This is Chaz from Classic Komodo, and this is The Armory, a series where I review all the different gadgets in Battlefield 4 and give you my opinion on them. This time, we're talking about the EOD bot, or the EOD boss, killing tanks. There's not really any stats on this gadget, so I'm going to give you my opinion on it and how I find that this thing is actually a pretty plausible gadget to use when playing certain game types. So, for the most part, the EOD bot I find only is plausible in Rush. You're not going to be using it in Conquest or anything like that. It's just not plausible. It's not worth having out on the field because you're leaving yourself exposed, and for what? No real gain, except you're kind of running around with this little robot. But let's talk about the pros, and then we're going to talk about the cons. The pros about this gadget are, one, it can arm and disarm bombs. It could disarm enemy equipment. It could disarm a bunch of stuff. It can spot enemies and spot infantry vehicles. And also you can take out other vehicles just like you can with a repair tool. So, a lot of pros. One of the biggest pros that you have with this thing is the fact that there's no consequence in using it and making it and running it out into the battlefield. So, you're leaving yourself exposed from where you are. But for the most part, when you send this thing out onto the field, if this thing dies, you don't die. So you don't have to worry about anything. All the thing that's really cool about this thing is the fact that when using this on Rush, you're able to spot everybody around the area and stuff like that. So you can even use it as kind of a scouting tool before going into the bomb area. So that's a lot of the pros. The cons are the fact that, yeah, you're sitting back and you're not able to actively participate. So you're sitting in the back corner and somebody could just come up and knife you while you're, sitting in a corner and stuff like that while you're using this EOD bot. But that's really the only con, the fact that you're not actively participating as a soldier. You're just in this little robot. So how do you use this thing? What is this thing good for? Like I said, it's good for Rush and it's good for arming bombs. I have a lot of problems sometimes of getting into the bombs, especially with 32, and then for soon, hopefully, to be like 64 player, just to see how it feels. But for the most part, it can get pretty tough to get in there and take out the bomb. The EOD bot is so good at going in there. Look how much damage this thing could take and survive. Yeah, I'm gonna die in a second, but this thing can take a crap ton of damage before going down. And also, you've seen it catch fire. If you take damage and you run away, you could actually regenerate your health in the EOD bot. So that's also really awesome. So the EOD bot, the reason why I find it as a viable option, besides the footage you see in the background of me just running around and sneaking up on unsuspecting tanks and unsuspecting victims of the Wall-E, I find that this thing is actually really good when trying to capture certain bases that are really funnel based. So, for instance, a lot of the times on Rush, they're poorly designed maps. I'm sorry, a lot of the times the Rush maps aren't necessarily designed for Rush. So you get into these choke point areas where it's only 2 ways into a certain area, and there's 32 players, so it's 1600. It's almost impossible to get into these areas. Well, it's actually pretty feasible to sneak in with this EOD bot, and I've had it multiple times where I've been able to sneak in using the EOD bot. The only problem with it is once you have it armed, problematic, because once you have the thing armed, it's hard to defend the MCOM with just a little robot. So, like you saw just there, it's easy, well, it's possible to take out infantry and stuff like that, but it's not the best at it. I mean, you might as well, you should be using a gun, not this thing. Also, a really good thing, that's for the attacking side of Rush. The defensive side of Rush is you could plant it at one bomb, and then you stay at the other bomb. Therefore, you're defending both bombs at once, just by yourself, which is amazing. So, that's really what I think about it. I think it's plausible only in Rush as an engineer. Only in Rush. That's the only way you should be using this. So if you ever get stuck at a specific point, pull out the EOD bot. It might be your surviving factor. Thanks again, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed. And as always, stay classy.